Ella Martin.
James Long.
Kamala DeBartolave.
Thank
Valerie
you.
Smedley.
Oh, okay, Ms. Billy's here. Okay, good. We'll do new members in a little bit. Okay. Let's approve the minutes from the November 12th, 2024 meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Entertain a motion.
To approve the minutes from November 12th.
I move that the November 12th minutes be approved.
Thank you. Got a second?
Second.
Okay. All right there. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved. Okay, Mr. Rose. We'll present the new historic district spotlight that's happening on the future district, South Full Street.
Thanks, Carol. So just this is a really brief one, just kind of a preview, more or less, of the upcoming potential designation for South Hull for the neighborhood. This is basically the last neighborhood spotlight for 2024, and it's a proposed historic district, not yet designated. We're currently working on the designation report. Staff conducted the architectural survey this year, and we'll be bringing that before the HPC next year for consideration. And if the board members find that the neighborhood meets the established designation criteria, then the recommendation from the board will go to City Council for final action. As a reminder, just wanted to go over the designation criteria for you all again, just as a preview for what you'll be seeing in the coming year. So for a neighborhood to be designated as a historic district or an individual property designated as historic, it must be found that it is identified. There's 4 criteria. It can meet one of any of these 4. So the first one is that it is identified with or represents a significant aspect of the cultural, political, economic, military, or social history of the city, region, state, or nation. Second, it has had a significant relationship with the life of a historic person or event, representing a major aspect of the history of the city, region, state, or nation. Third, it is a part of the historic architectural, archaeological, or aesthetic heritage of the city, region, state, or nation. And fourth is an example of an architectural style or a combination of architectural styles which is representative of or which is unique to the city. Although this neighborhood was originally platted between 1900 and 1930, the South Hull neighborhood is considered a post-World War II suburb. It is bounded to the north by East Fairview Avenue, to the west by South Court Street, to the south by Edgemont Avenue, and to the east by Norman Bridge Road. We can see that by 1930, the streets were generally recognized on maps. If you scroll down a bit here, there's a couple of plat maps that we have, and if we keep going down a little bit further, there's a city map showing the street layout right here. So by 1929, those streets were recognized on city maps. But because of World War II, the neighborhood was still being built out throughout the 1940s, and by 1950, most housing construction was complete in the neighborhood. And one thing that we have found, at least in our preliminary research, is that there were racial covenants included on some of the deeds, some of those early deeds, showing that basically the neighborhood was racially segregated. So we have that aspect, and we're still in the drafting phase, as I said, of the designation report. So cannot give a complete presentation right now on whether the neighborhood meets the criteria. But we do know that the neighborhood is associated with the use and repeal of those racial covenants, as well as with post-World War II suburban housing development. And here on the screen are the aerial maps. So in 1942, you can see that it was being built out, and then on the one below that, by 1950, most of the neighborhood was really there at that point. And so, as we've also found on some of those plat maps as well, that residences built in the neighborhood had to be worth at least $4,000 in 1939. That's equivalent to approximately $89,879 today. So that's kind of an interesting marker of the past value sort of being equivalent to what it is today. And also an 1899 map shows that the original platted neighborhood was designed as an enclave that was not to be included within the city of Montgomery. We can tell this was an enclave because the interior streets were named 1st and 2nd Avenues, which would have been a little bit odd at the southern boundary of the city for those names to be used. So it makes more sense that they were used for a neighborhood that was considered a self-sufficient town, which mirrors a pattern in which Old Cloverdale and Capitol Heights were also considered small towns that were later annexed into the city. So the city of Montgomery annexed the South Hole neighborhood in 1927, the same year that it annexed adjacent areas now known as Old Cloverdale, the Garden District, and Cloverdale Idlewild. Indeed, the South Hole neighborhood, which is adjacent to Old Cloverdale, the Garden District, and Cloverdale Idlewild, continues these neighborhoods' early 20th century suburban development pattern into the post-World War II period. Its street grid layout most closely resembles that of the Garden District to the north, and indeed the two neighborhoods share several streets, such as South Perry Street, Gilmer Avenue, and South Hole Street. However, the architecture of South Hole, which includes styles like Cottage Revival, Tudor Revival, Georgian Revival, Arts and Crafts, and Minimal Traditional, most closely matches that of Cloverdale Idlewild, which would be to the east of South Hole. The relatively modest homes built in South Hole reflect the struggles of the post-World War II era with its material and labor shortages. Meanwhile, the minimal traditional style of architecture became very popular in the mid-20th century because bank loans were becoming much more prevalent as soldiers took advantage of the GI Bill benefits in the post-World War II era. Moreover, this neighborhood was marked on a 1937 Homeowners Loan Corporation residential security map, also known as a redlining map, as sparsely settled and second grade in its ranking classification. So beyond this, like I said, just sort of a preview of more work that will be coming forward in 2025 once we can complete the designation report and research. So we're still in the drafting phase for that, but just wanted to share with you all kind of some preliminary findings that we have for the neighborhood.
Just under an abundance of caution, I think questions would be okay, but please do not express any opinions on eligibility for designation at the moment. You obviously will get a copy of the full report to review, so I think questions are fine, but I wouldn't express any opinions at the moment until you see all of the information.
Shaun, how many properties, number-wise?
Yeah, it's I think it's like 379, right at about 380, somewhere in that range.
That's doable.
And also here are some photographs during the architectural survey work. If we keep scrolling down, there's some examples of, there's a church here, and then a couple of examples of the houses that we were taking photographs during our survey.
And your boundaries are?
Yeah, so Fairview Avenue to the north, South Court on the west side, Edgemont on the south, and then Norman Bridge on the east.
Yeah, I think I got it now. I was having trouble, but I see it now on the map. I'll withhold questions. That's good, be great.
All right, so that's all I have. Yeah, if you all think of anything, certainly happy to help, and if you have questions or anything, we can definitely discuss at a later time.
Great, thank you, Shaun. Now we have some new members of the Historic Preservation Commission, which I want to review for our audience. Is a non-member board appointed by the City Council, and we serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. The purposes of the commission are to promote the educational, cultural, economic, and general welfare of the city through the preservation and protection of buildings, sites, structures, areas, and districts of historic significance and interest. Through preservation and enhancement of local, historic, architectural, archaeological, and aesthetic heritage found in the city, through the maintenance of distinctive character of the city's historic districts, and through the promotion and enhancement of the city's historic and aesthetic attraction to tourists and visitors. So we'd like to thank the City Council for the support of historic preservation by the approval of the nomination of these new board members. So with that being said, we'll start on the left, and if each of you will introduce yourself and a little bit about your interest and where you live, and we're good to see you guys.
Yeah, sure. My name is Vincent Hall. I live in the Peacock Tract, the west side of Montgomery. I look forward to serving on the commission. I think that preservation can be used not just from a cultural, historical, but also from an economic perspective. And I look forward to just using preservation to promote the city as a whole. It's good to be here.
Thanks, Vincent. Your turn. Oh, did you do it last time?
Huh?
Did you do it last time?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
To me.
Brennan?
Brendan Parker. I have been in the Cloverdale Idlewild district for about 20 years now. Moved there in high school. And me and my wife bought a house there last year in Montezuma. I'm a real estate agent and do property management as well with Paramount Properties. So a lot of what I do is in the historic districts. So I think that I can, one, learn a lot by being on this board, and also help with preservation in our districts. And yeah, from Montgomery. Don't really know what else. Is there more information I need to give? I have 6 siblings. I can go all day. But yeah, okay. That's good. Yeah. So, but yeah, happy to be here.
And I'm down here on the end. I'm Valerie Smetley. I actually have a business in what I consider the most historic district in Montgomery. I'm in Centennial Hill. So I'm up there with all of our history when it comes to civil rights and things of that nature. And I really have a passion for historic preservation. Shaun, they came by and met with me, and I've just been excited about it for a while now. So I look forward to being a part of this commission and learning a lot. So I'm going to be leaning, especially Mr. Barbara Lavin over there, I'm going to be leaning on help. So she's already pledged to help me. So I thank each of you for what you all bring to the table. And I think as a group, we'll do good for the city of Montgomery.
Thank you. And also, I hear the 2-lane marker is a big hit up there on High Street as well. That's
Yes.
a great addition to establishing.
The Victor 2-lane marker has brought a lot of attention to Centennial Hill. And if you pay attention to what's actually happening in Montgomery, a lot of our history is coming up. It was suppressed for years, but now it's starting to be recognized, and I think that's where we're going to come into play as an integral part to make sure that people who live in Montgomery recognize the history, not only the civil rights history or the Civil War history, but all the other history that we have here in Montgomery. Because people are paying attention, they're looking, they're reading, and so they're going to be looking at us to do the right thing when it comes to preserving our history.
Yes, ma'am. We're glad to have you. Thank you. Glad to have all these new members. So let's go to item 4, Reconsideration of Fall 2024 Commemorative Plaque Application. Shaun, you want to catch us up on what we need to do on that?
Sure. So the We have two items here that were considered last month at the HPC meeting. The first one was voted on and approved, I believe, but there was, I think, a member expressed, concern about it. So if there, I just wanted to give you all an opportunity, if there is concerns, that we can reconsider it at this meeting. The second item, there was a vote, but it was announced as having passed, but the vote would have actually been a failed motion. So I'm putting that back so that way we can consider it and get a corrected vote procedure.
Madam Chairman, this reconsideration issue is something that I brought up at the end of the last meeting and asked to be put on the agenda, particularly with regard to item 1, the College Street property. When we took it, I actually made the motion to approve that, and at the end of, if I'd be allowed to address the issue, at the end of my presentation, I want to make at some point a motion that we reconsider and deny this application for a plat. When I looked at it the first time, and we only got a few minutes to look at it when we were looking at it, I normally go directly to my to the modifications, and I didn't see any modifications, and I would take blame for not looking at it too closely. And then someone after the end of the meeting pointed me out the fact that it says on the first page that the siding is aluminum. So we have given, with our approval on a property that has aluminum siding, a plaque. To me, that does not meet the guidelines, and it is certainly not historic preservation, considering the aluminum siding mass problems behind it that would be obvious and needing to be restored if it wasn't for the siding. Now, Shaun has done a good job of giving us a copy of the Montgomery Guidelines for awarding commemorative historic building plaques, and I have passed them out to the commissioners, and it says under general appearance on those guidelines on the first page, page 15 there, it says all facades of the building visible from the street are subject to review. The building should represent the architectural style in which it was constructed. The first point, original materials must be maintained or duplicated where necessary. The second point, exterior finished materials should be appropriate to the building style and period. And third, all exterior finishes should be kept in good condition. Now, as far as I know, when I put it up on the internet, aluminum siding was invented in 1937. Now, this house was constructed in 1927. And I don't see any way that you can say that was an appropriate style or that aluminum siding, the use of aluminum siding in this was appropriate here, considering aluminum siding was not even created, much less in use at the time that this property was built. Aluminum siding didn't come into widespread use until after World War II. So, so just on that basis alone, as well as the fact that it certainly doesn't reflect the historic style of the building if you're using aluminum siding. And I don't think that when you look at the guidelines that aluminum siding meets the standard of being appropriate to a building style and period. So that's my position, and that's why I want it to be reconsidered. I would like to hear commissioners' views before I put my motion before the commission, if appropriate.
Any other comments? Anybody?
This was something, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ella.
This was something that we questioned as part of that committee when we looked at it, and it was very iffy with that aluminum siding. It wasn't something that we really considered yay or nay and brought back for consideration. It was one of my concerns, and I don't know if this is a house that she's already had historic designation before, and it's a reapplication for it, or not. I can't remember.
Oh, this is it's part of Cloverdale.
I know it's part of Cloverdale,
So she
but
ought to, she
she already had it. Okay.
Well, they used to could get a sign if you were just in the district.
It didn't matter.
Right,
It
but
just
now,
because
but
you
now
were in
there's
the
actually
district.
a process.
Well, it was just something that I think all three of us that were on that committee really questioned about that aluminum siding. And then there were a couple, I think Tanya maybe, I can't remember, somebody said something about the fact that they weren't real sure that the windows were totally wood, even though she said they were wood. But they appeared to be in a close-up. So it's, that they were. That's just my comment about it.
So, slight question of ignorance, but are we trying to go more for the appearance from the exterior or the actual material used?
Materials, I think, most of the time.
Okay.
Now, I'm a newbie too, so I can be contradicted.
When
I'm just asking.
we did what the thing we did a couple of years ago, when we did it at Landmark,
Awards?
The classes.
the classes.
Oh, right, the classes, right.
The classes we did at Landmark a couple of years ago, I still have the book at home. It specifically says even the windows, they have to be repurposed. Somebody has to
Recycle.
yeah, they have
Reuse,
to. Yeah, they have to redo them. You can't replace the windows. There was only one person in Montgomery that actually did it.
Well, with the light material.
Yeah, with the
It has to
light
be
material,
right.
and it has to be light material. So even though the siding looks like wood, it's not wood. Because when I bought my house where my shop is, it had siding on it. I have since taken it off and reconstructed after I got on this committee. Took the siding off and been repurposing, redoing the outside and all that. So yeah, no siding.
So I have a quick comment. In looking at general appearances, it just says all exterior finishes should be kept in good condition. Is that inclusive of aluminum? Are we talking about aluminum not being appropriate?
Original.
Or original?
Original.
Well, Mr. Long, I'll entertain a motion. shall we?
Okay. I move that the commission's approval for item 1, 2412 Cottage Street, formerly 202 Cottage Street, Old Cloverdale, be reconsidered.
Second.
Who seconded that?
We're
Carol.
waiting.
Second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, I still don't know who seconded. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So we vote on that and then we vote on the
Well, I was going to say, because we have, so technically, we've already had our discussion on that, unless anyone else has another comment. Okay, so what we are voting on is to reconsider and deny the
Just reconsider.
application.
At this point, there have to be separate motions.
To
Reconsider
reconsider,
first.
okay. Reconsider the request for historic marker for 2412 College Street. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion, okay.
Any hands? Okay, unanimous.
Okay.
So, does it pass?
It does pass.
Okay.
Motion passes.
All right, I have another motion. Now that we are reconsidering that, I move that the application for a plaque for that property be denied.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we've already had
Got
discussion.
it.
Okay. All in favor of denying the application for 2412 College Street?
I see 6. Ms. Smedley?
Okay.
You can
Well,
vote in favor, you can abstain, you can
I'll abstain,
recuse.
because if we're gonna reconsider, but how are we gonna deny it until it's reconsidered? My thing is, let's,
We had already considered it before. We had already.
so it's already been reconsidered, is
Yeah.
what you're telling me.
Yeah. This is the
Okay. All
reconsideration.
right, I guess we denied it.
Of the consideration.
Okay, got
The
it.
reconsider of the consider.
Motion passes.
You know, I was just thinking we have to have
Okay, Mr. Wong, you want to do
Oh, the next property,
number 2?
I don't remember exactly.
This property
Wow.
wanted, they wanted their sign to say something in particular, wanted their family name on it.
The 620 Martha Street.
Yes.
Now,
Patton House, they wanted Patton House added to the historical site.
so Shaun, what was the vote?
I believe the vote was 3-2, which would be a failed motion, although it was announced as a passed motion to approve. So this one has basically has not been approved nor denied. There was not a successful
I think
motion.
we'll approve it on conditions, whereas they can get another sign that says Cottage Hill. But it
Yeah,
couldn't say
it's-
Patton House because it had no historical
Right.
significance.
Yeah, like, so the thing that, how I would characterize this one is you all can consider it on the merits of if it deserves the plaque. The name is basically disqualifying, like it doesn't qualify. So it would be Cottage Hill is the name that would be on the plaque if you all find that it is merited a plaque.
The people that voted against, it was Dr. Bailey and who was it voted against it?
I don't know.
And,
What was the reason it got voted?
yeah, what was the reason?
I don't recall what they were saying.
I do,
I thought all we basically said was it couldn't have Patton House.
well, there are 2 photographs there too, and when you compare the first existing photograph to the other photograph, which is from the 1980s, there have been some fair amount of changes to the porch.
Yeah.
Oh, the
and
roof
the
line.
lattice and all
Oh, the
that.
roof line too.
Porch and the roof line, right, that front gable.
Now, were those with the ARB approval or not? Who's on the second?
We don't know.
I don't know.
It
There
says
is
they already
a-
approved the pagoda.
On the front,
At the front and the rear. Rest of it. You said the roof line has been changed?
Look right there. See how that's triangle and now look how it is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the tree kind of blocked it. That big palm tree. It's a palm, yeah, palm. Well, lattice is appropriate.
Yeah.
You can use lattice. I don't know about the changing of the roof line though.
Yeah, that's normally in the front, that's generally a problem. Unless it's historically similar, isn't it?
And the side too. The side gable too.
So, Was this kind of roof line used during the period?
Well, it was, but it wasn't on that house. Used, in other words, it's not original to that house.
Yeah.
And has been done since the 1980s.
Oh, really? Okay.
Is what that picture says.
Yeah, there was an ARB approval in 1988 for the roof.
For the roof?
Yeah, for
Okay, well, it was.
to install an antique black 3-tab asphalt shingle roof and general maintenance back in 1988.
But not to necessarily cut the gable tip.
Okay. So, if we approve it, you're gonna put Cottage Hill on there? On the plaque? Shaun?
Yeah, the only eligible descriptor on the plaque will be Cottage Hill. So again, this is a review on the merits of the preservation of the residence.
I would consider that if you feel that the alterations have changed the architectural style of the house from what it originally was, you guys obviously hold the standard for what you're going to approve for plaques and not. But as a guide, I mean, I would tend to go along with, does the property contain sufficient integrity so that you can tell what it was? And you've just denied one for having replacement wood siding, and now you have one that's got a completely replaced frontage. So I just want to make sure you guys are being consistent in how you look at these things. My way of looking at it would be, how many of the original features does this house contain? Can you still tell the original design intent of the property? Does it still convey that historic appearance and significance of the original design? So, you know, it's obviously your decision, but I think, you know, we need to try and be consistent.
Very good point.
Do we have a motion to accept or deny?
Well, if we're gonna start doing this, which is why we created the guidelines.
Exactly.
So, I move to deny the application
Please state a reason why we're denying.
because the structure, the roof structure, has been altered significantly from the original and changes the character of the building.
Do we have a second on the motion?
Well, do we have another motion? Okay.
Or do we have another motion?
It's hard.
Well,
Okay, so,
you can second and then we can vote. So,
I vote we approve it on the basis of, even though,
okay, wait a minute. We have a motion to deny at this point.
okay, so we gonna entertain his
Wait,
motion
wait,
first.
wait.
Unless you
Okay.
get, if you don't get a second,
Yeah.
then it
Is there a second? Is there any second on the denial of the request? Okay, there's not. So that motion is dead. We'll entertain another motion.
A motion to accept,
Okay,
approve.
we have a motion to accept approval of 620 Martha Street for a historic marker. Any second?
Second. Second.
Okay. All in favor of approval for a historic marker for 620 Martha Street?
Are you voting yes? Carol, are you yes?
I don't think I vote right. Chairman doesn't vote right.
Yes, you do vote.
Okay.
Are you voting yes, sir?
No, I'm not voting yes.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, motion fails.
Okay. So,
What that mean?
wait a minute.
She gets back to give up.
The motion,
But it has to have, how many, 5, doesn't it?
so we have we're nowhere.
No,
We don't have a denial or approval.
no. Which
Bring
is
it back
good,
up. Bring
because
it
we
back
in
up.
limbo. Bring it back up in January.
We need to move it along because they were technically supposed to get their signs now at the
But she
December
doesn't get it,
meeting.
doesn't get it yet.
Yeah.
Advice down there from the, you don't, we have a
One,
denial.
one option may be to make a motion to defer it to the next meeting, because at the moment it wasn't approved, it wasn't denied, it's just sitting there. If nothing happens, it's just going to go away. But that would be, I believe, your only other option.
I move to continue consideration of this item until the next agenda item. Next month.
Do we have a second? To move-
Second.
All in favor of the motion to move the discussion of 620 Martha to February? All in favor?
Unanimous.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what Dr. Bailey has to say.
Yeah, he will know, so.
Good point. Okay. All right, so, and now we have item number 5, which is the addition that we got sent in our minutes with the Historic District draft on the guidelines about the ARB design. Everybody read over it. Any comments for Shaun?
It's just a description of the district, right?
Yeah, so at the end of the design guidelines in the back, there's several appendices, one of which is a description of each historic district. So this is one for the Lower Commerce District. If you all have any questions or comments, anything you think that is missing or needs to be added, we're certainly happy to receive comments and incorporate that.
Wow. Is
Okay.
that the wrap, is that
Yeah.
the last chapter? The last appendix?
Yeah, there's,
Oh, okay.
so we are basically done with the, all the chapters, and so now we're really just looking at the appendices. So, you know, we have close to a dozen historic districts, so that's what you'll see on the next several agendas will be the just the blurb for each district. So that, yeah, we're just getting that, you know, drafted and everything. And that's another project that will be coming before the board hopefully next year as well. Will be consideration of the updated guidelines for the ARB.
Thank you. Okay, item number 6, staff updates.
So, yeah, we're just looking forward to a new year. As I had said at the last meeting, we're going to an every other month, a bi-monthly schedule for 2025. So that'll start in February, will be the first meeting. That's our annual meeting of the HPC, and there will be elections for the chair and the vice chair at that meeting. So we'll look forward to seeing you all then. For the new members, we just received the ordinance with you all, the resolution from council appointing you all. So we'll be working on getting your welcome packet sent out here soon. So you should have that as well in hand before the next meeting comes up. And I think that's all I have. Just, again, we are looking forward to a busy year despite reducing the frequency of our meetings. We have a lot of good projects coming up with the potential South Hole designation, with the draft guidelines of the ARB. The oral history project in the Peacock Tract is off the ground and running. So we have that. Our consultants have conducted several interviews, and we'll continue moving that along as well.
Thank you. Any announcements from the board? Or
No, not an announcement per se, but I do have one quick question.
Sure.
When it says contributing to the historic district times the guideline, does that mean does the home itself contribute to the historic district, or does that mean are they paying voluntary, involuntary HOA dues?
you want to, I'll let staff.
Or Shaun, or whoever can answer that, just so I know.
Yeah, that's referring to whether the residence is contributing to the historic district.
Okay. As in
that's-
like the look of the, okay, that's
So just for clarification, when you do a historic district, a property can either be contributing or non-contributing. Contributing properties retain their integrity, they convey their original design. Doesn't mean to say they can't change, but you should still be able to tell what it was, how it was designed. Non-contributing buildings are either newer buildings, maybe built 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or they're older buildings that have changed so much that you really can't tell what it was.
Okay. Thank you. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a money thing.
Landmarks Foundation is in the beginning stages of planning the May preservation seminar, leadership seminar. This would be year 6 that we've done in May for Preservation Month. We do it on the Wednesdays. There'll be 4 Wednesdays in May. And this year, we'll go back to focusing on the neighborhoods. We've been talking about mid-modern stuff. We've been talking about what happened with the interstate system in the 1960s and 70s. So for the past 5 years, we've sort of worked our way through the different types of, the ERA of preservation in Montgomery. And so this, we thought it was about time to go back to our original thought process with the historic neighborhoods and talking about the histories of the different neighborhoods, their development, what makes them important, as well as the architecture, talking about that. And it'll be great for the, the new board to get, their feet wet on a lot of that as well. Plus really revisiting Montgomery's city ordinances and really sort of delving into that. The ARB, the guidelines that are being reconstructed here, or have been, at this point are almost 40 years old. Well, not the guidelines, but the Montgomery's preservation ordinances, had several different phases, but since the late 1960s, we have had, preservation guidelines, Historic Preservation Commission, and an architectural review board. So learning a little bit about the history that's gone behind all of that too. So that's what we'll be, we'll get more information out to you closer to time as well. So anybody else have anything? Would the audience like to make a comment? Okay, sure. We're glad you came. Thank you for coming. That's it. All right, meeting's adjourned.